So the question on the table is Quad a friend to the girls on the show? Is she a friend to the show? Or are the girls friends of hers? That's really the question with Quad. And it seems like it's been the question with Quad for the past several years. Well, today we're going to dive deep into that topic and more because the fallout from this past week's episode of Married to Medicine continues. And Sky Squad, we have got to talk about it. Now, I know a lot of you guys may have watched my recap and then trotted on down the highway to watch Carlos King and Dr. Heavenly. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then we're going to move on to something else directly related to this topic, okay? So if you did not watch, okay, Carlos King and Dr. Heavenly last night, baby, when you get done with this, go and watch that. And if you ain't watched the episode, then go back and watch the episode, okay? It's a trifecta. This, that, and the third, which is the episode, okay? Most importantly, because we want to make sure we get these numbers up and keep these ratings popping, okay, for this show. Now, let's get into I'm going to hit some highlights, okay? Because for real, when I was watching this last night, I was actually not taking notes. I was simply watching for my own enjoyment while I was working on a couple of other things. And I literally had to stop in my track and start taking notes in my phone, right? It was so good. Now, we get into all the tea from not last night's, but Sunday night's episode. And again, I told y'all before, I feel like they should put Married to Medicine on first. They actually discussed that last night. And, they were both in agreement that would probably never happen. But to be very honest with you, I think we and the world and everybody else knows that Married to Medicine is just the superior show. And to be quite frank with you, it is a bit of a relief when it comes on after Potomac because we are traumatized by Potomac, but baby, Married to Medicine is like the medicine that we need to rescue the night. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, let's get into a couple of things that Heavenly had to say. Now, again, the discussion with Carlos and Heavenly is fluid. So the highlights that I'm extracting here are part of much larger conversations. So you do need to go back and watch if you missed it. But the highlights that I want to talk about are important. So it was talked about, Dr. Alicia. Now, you guys know that she's a friend of the show. And Dr. Heavenly did confirm my suspicions was that Dr. Alicia was meant to be on Married to Medicine, DC or DMV or whatever they were going to call it, right? And she was the most outspoken person on the cast. And she also moved down to Atlanta to do Married to Medicine Atlanta. Now, the thought is, I think that she was going to be full cast, full time. But then when Quad came in, it kind of, because I don't think that they knew what Quad was going to do, right? And so because Quad was still in negotiations for her contracts for weeks, okay, they didn't know. And then it was likely that when Quad did come in and started showing, like popping up out of caskets, okay, then they probably had to bump her down to, basically a friend of, okay? Now, because Carlos was like, who is that lady? Man, when I watched it the second time this morning, because I had to watch it again, okay? And Carlos was digging into them questions. It was like boom, 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 asking all the questions I wanted to know. So it was perfect. All right. Now they get into Quad and her contract because Carlos didn't hesitate to ask the questions. Okay, basically he was asking if Quad was getting paid more than the rest of the cast, based on this idea that she was renegotiating her contract, likely as a result of, her ex-husband and his new wife being on the show, right? Or it was some things that she wanted, right? And apparently that didn't work. According to Dr. Heavenly, she ain't getting no increase. She don't make more than anybody else. all that negotiating and whatever like that, she couldn't capitalize on none of the new stuff that was about to happen because they ain't go for it. Okay. But basically she tried to renegotiate that contract and it didn't work. Now, Dr. Heavenly does go back and say, I'm sure, like, she got something good out of the deal, but she don't think it was what Quad really wanted. So I was like, "Ooh, tea, give us that tea." So all that time negotiating and you ain't getting nothing extra, girl. Anyway, Dr. Heavenly then goes on to say that Quad is not their friend when the show goes off the air. She says that Quad be running around with the housewives women who be looking for men in Africa and thotting for the gram. Now, lest you don't believe that was said, okay? Lest you don't believe that was said, I got to pull up a receipt for you. A receipt, all right? I'm going to pull up a receipt for you. Trust and believe, y'all know I like a show and tell, especially for parts of what I'm telling you that were explosive, okay? Because you can see it here, and you can see my reaction right here. The Neighborhood Talk happened to post a clip of it. It says, "Child, Dr. Heavenly claims Quad and certain housewives go to Kenya to find men, thirst trapping for the gram, naked and all that." Okay, now who you think she talking about here? Okay, now I don't know if it was Portia or not, but it sounded like to me Portia didn't have to go to Kenya to get a man. Really, you know what I'm saying? Portia just went down the street. Sound like. So maybe it's not Portia because I saw some people mentioning Portia, I thought. But then I'm like, who else? Who else it be? Hmm. Hmm. Ladies, let me ask you guys a question. For my single ladies out there, do you believe that the man for you exists here in the United States of America? Or do you believe that your man is somewhere in Nairobi or South Africa or Kenya, or the Ghana? Let us know in the chatterization down below, because sometimes you may have to explore the world to find your peace. Okay. And I mean that in a couple of ways. All right. I mean that in a couple of ways. So let us know in the chatterization. Do ladies who are single and actually men too, do you feel like you need to go? Do you feel like you can find your significant other here in America? Or do you feel like you need to go abroad to find it? Because sometimes maybe your love is somewhere else. Okay. Maybe your love is somewhere else. Meanwhile, let's get back to it. She said that Quad starts speaking to the girls again when they about to start filming. Now, that's going to relate to the second part of what we got to talk about. And she says that Quad wasn't really mad about that photo with Sweet Tea because, for her, she felt like, Quad ain't really want to be with that man no way. Okay. So anyway, they get into this thing about, Quad's old days or whatever, and that Mariah had allegedly said that Quad was homeless when she came to Atlanta, and she ended up staying with Mariah's cousin. So when Quad met Dr. G and he took her in, he really was taking care of her, because they keep flashing back to the scene on the show that's when he says, I've been taking care of you since the day I met you. Now, let's get into this idea of a man taking care of you. And that could be a man or a woman, actually, now that I think about it. You know what I'm saying? Because you never know who's zooming who. And so let me ask you guys a question. Would you prefer to be taken care of in a relationship, or is that a requirement for you? And don't be shamed, because this is a place of non-judgment. You know what I'm saying? We don't judge over here for what you want to do. If you want to get 5 BBLs, I don't judge, because I'm like, live your best. You know what I mean? And YOLO is your life. You only get one. And so you better live it to the fullest and the best of your abilities. As long as you ain't hurting yourself. Anyway, she don't think that Dr. G was lying when Dr. G said, I've been taking care of you since the day I met you. She does not, Dr. Heavenly does not think that Dr. G was lying about that. And then she goes on to say, well, if you feed a dog, they're going to learn how to love you or something like that. And Carlos falls out because the analogy she was making was definitely a valid one. But it was also an analogy that was somewhat still kind of related to Quad. And I was just like, Dr. Heavenly, you are the gift. Okay. I don't know who's a bigger gift on this show. Chime down in the chat. Who's the bigger gift on this show? Is it Dr. Heavenly, Sweet Tea, Phaedra, or Quard? Okay, let us know in the chat. Just a little fun, just a little fun for you. You know what I'm saying? Just a little fun for you. Anyway, so apparently, also, we did know based on the episodes that Phaedra did date Dr. G at one point in time, hence their BFF status. You know what I'm saying? I guess, sometimes every relationship don't turn into a real relationship. Sometimes it just fizzles out and turns into a friendship, hence the F, fizzle. So anyway, apparently it didn't work out between him and Phaedra because she asked, allegedly, let me put the alleged badge up here because, listen, people can be litigious. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want them to be litigious with me. Anyway, because I didn't mean it. Nothing is true. Nothing is real. Everything's alleged. Again, I've stated it before. Your life is alleged. This is alleged. Are you really even actually watching me right now? Or is that alleged too? It's all in your mind. Meanwhile, apparently, Phaedra had asked Dr. G for about for a monthly allowance or stipend, if you will, or per diem for the month of $4,000 when they were dating. Yes. Now, apparently, according to Dr. Heavenly, this has been said before, and so she ain't repeating nothing new. But it was new for me, so it might be new for you. $4,000. Well, that's a good sweet deal. Know your worth, people. Know your worth. If somebody is telling you that they're not gonna give you $100, you tell them to go to HE double, okay? Because if Phaedra can make $4,000 work, then you can make 500. Okay. I'm thinking shoot for the stars, for real, for real. You know what I'm saying? We can go further. You know what I mean? Like shoot for the stars, $4,000. I'm not mad at it. You know what I mean? I'm not mad at it. But is that gold digging? Is there, gold digger? She ain't messing with no broke. Is that gold digging? Somebody let me know in the chatterization. I need to know. Tell me, pretty baby, because I need to know. I need to know. Yes. So this is a lot of, Dr. Heavenly was saying, well, Dr. G done dated half the people on this show. Quard, Phaedra, and now Sweet Tea. So that's why she wasn't really taking Sweet Tea that seriously. But she also felt like she knew more about Dr. G and his relationships based on, obviously being friends with Quad and just kind of like knowing certain things. And so when Sweet Tea was saying certain things, it's like, yeah, like I done heard it all before. All of y'all, that part. So anyway, apparently they didn't play on the episode that Phaedra was not supposed to get into that wedding along with Dr. Heavenly. But again, Dr. Heavenly said that Phaedra had bought the minister, so she was going to yank that minister if she wasn't going to get in that wedding. They also didn't play that Phaedra Red Sweet Tea down, okay, at the resurrection service that night, okay. So Heavenly was disappointed in that because that they didn't play that, because that's the reason why they brought Phaedra, because Phaedra can read the girls down in a very calm and relaxed manner without ever raising her voice. Okay. Because Carlos went back to the pay. Apparently all the ladies make about the same because it's most favored nation, so that everyone makes the same based on the year that they came on the show, which is probably the most equitable thing, and that happens with a lot of shows. So Quad did not get the raise that she wanted, but she does think that the network is doing good by Quad. Now, Heavenly did indeed pop Damon in the head with a frying pan about 20 years ago because he came home later than he should from hanging out with his homeboys, as Whitley Gilbert would say, homeboys. And she was with the frats, the frat brothers. But she didn't really want to get it too much into that. The next thing she did get a text from, I guess, one of the old producers who might have been watching the show. So I don't know what happened in that text exchange, but she kind of just laughed it off. They ain't tell her to stop, so keep going. Anyway, Dr. Jackie, so she gives an example of what she felt like Quad should have done, and how Quad should have humbled herself and accepted more accountability in last night's episode, because that's what really was supposed to happen. Like she said that Dr. Jackie was really mad about the whole Buffy situation. She went back into the past to use Dr. Jackie as an example. And she says that even though Dr. Jackie didn't feel like she was wrong in the situation, because she didn't feel like she did something wrong to Buffy, she was still able to eat crow and give Buffy an apologies. And sometimes she says, sometimes about Quad, sometimes you just have to do that. And Phaedra apparently thought Quad was going to eat a little crow, but that's not what happened. And apparently, I think that Phaedra and Quad will be getting into it in this coming week's episode, because she really wouldn't answer that question when Carlos asked. So I'm not really sure where all of that will go, but I'm assuming we're going to see some sparks flying. All right. So now I want to get into something that I know that a lot of you guys may have seen, but some of you may not have seen. We're going to talk about the Quad, Dr. Heavenly, Phaedra, and Quad, Dr. Heavenly, Phaedra, and Dr. Jackie live that happened on Sunday night. Now, listen, they be doing lives. I don't know if the lives occur while the episode is playing, but I wouldn't do that. I know that they want to do the lives because they want to get the promo out for the show. So I don't know if the live needs to happen at 10, and maybe it did. Okay. The first time it happened, I felt like it happened during the show, and it was maybe like a watch along. But what I don't want is people to be distracted by what they saying because it's good, okay, and not see the episode. So anyway, that's why we talk about the fallout the day after we do our recaps, because there's usually so much information that we need to take in, and I want to give my recap as much of an authentic feel as I possibly can. So I generally don't try to watch anything until I do my recap, and then we will start to get into what the shenanigans are behind the scenes and the dynamics that are happening with the cast in real time. So some of you may have seen this already, but some of you may not have. And we're going to break it down and we're going to discuss it because this clip may be floating around the internet and we're not going to play the entire live. We're going to talk about this one clip right here that I found very interesting, thanks to our friends over at the Neighborhood Talk, where they really pull out this discussion about whether or not Quad is really a friend. And the conversation does get rather deep. Now, again, because this is YouTube, I do need to talk and discuss my way through it so that we can make sure that the content is different from how it may be in other places, okay? Just so you guys are aware of how we do things on this channel. So let's get into it because the discussion is deep.
So, okay, so if I can be as honest as I'm being honest with you, we didn't feel like your conversation, your take it or leave it, was directed to Toya. It sounded as if it was it was uniform. Everybody could take it or leave. I hear you now, but at the moment that you said that, it sounded as if we had to accept you, and it didn't feel good.
Did you cuss, Jackie? Did you say what you say?
No, I think she said, and then made it silent.
Yeah.
But I hear it.
So I'm not sure if this was at the reunion or something like that, that something was said to this in this nature where the cast, apparently took something that she said to heart for all of them. And Quad is trying to explain that was meant for Toya, but we'll get into it.
But let me address what Jackie is saying. I hear you. I am not going to discount or discredit what you're saying. Okay. Mm-hmm. But that was not for you all. I felt like it was basically, to me, if I have already did the process of elimination, then the person who was giving me the refusal or the rejection, then that would have been common sense that I was speaking to that person. I was not.
So communication style had to be off because everybody sitting in those benches felt the same thing. So you did not articulate it well enough for us to receive it that way. So we all felt the same way. So it was obviously your communication that was.
Well, it was a lot going on. So you probably did miss what I was trying to convey.
So it's always interesting to me when Dr. Jackie gets fully in the mix, because her perspective is also valid. And so to see them have this level of real conversation, it's nice to me because it speaks to the actual dynamics of what's really happening. because some of this we know is TV, and then some of this we know to be okay. This is about real friendship.
It was a lot going on. I didn't expect for a number of things to transpire that did. So you know what? Maybe there was a moment where the clarity was not there, but I'm making it clear now that was not for you all.
Right. No, and I get it now, but I will tell you for now and the rest of the season, it felt like, and even now you're saying you didn't expect it. You had to expect some pushback. Because
not from you all, because we didn't have a problem. When we left the reunion, we didn't have a challenge. We didn't have any issues. You know, you, Heavenly, and Jada had began to do your Heavenly University thing and your speaking engagement. And so I was feeling like, well, they're doing their thing. Doesn't mean that they don't like me. Doesn't mean that we're against each other. I'm just telling you how I looked at it. Right. So I'm thinking about you doing your thing. And so I'm not taking offense to it. I'm not offended at all. I'm doing my thing. I'm going out. I'm traveling. I'm just doing me. Not saying that I'm against you all, but I'm just doing me. What is wrong with me doing me? Nothing. If you guys want to travel, I don't charge you guys for wanting to travel and do your thing. That's your business. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like,
why keep saying I want a problem? I don't want a problem. Well, we are not.
Who wants a problem?
That's what somebody in the chat is saying. However, what I can't talk about is even when we got ready to start filming, we wanted to hear and connect, and we didn't.
So this goes back to what Dr. Heavenly was saying about, you know, basically the ladies feeling like they only really hear from Quad when they're filming, and now they're filming and they're still not hearing from her. But she's also saying she's traveling. Now, Dr. Heavenly said they'd be traveling to Africa to find the men.
Okay, well, Jackie, you are the one and never the two, babe. I'm so happy you talked about filming. So the reason why I didn't come on board in terms of filming,
I'm not talking about coming on board.
But did you say the word filming? So let's talk about this filming.
I don't want you to break any.
It's getting heated.
Guys, y'all getting this kind of dark. I like my shit to be funny.
You have to understand, because I never meant to mistreat you all. I'm telling you, I don't give a damn who's watching me right now. I never meant to mistreat you all, and I'm not gonna let somebody put that on me. If we're gonna talk about filming, let's talk about truly what would happen. They already know.
Here we go.
Anyway, they sat there and they knew that I had not signed my contract because they knew that there were some other things that I was trying to work out concerning the contract.
Right.
It was never
everybody in the chat. I don't want to understand. I want you to understand. That is how we felt. I felt. I'm going to speak for myself. I can't speak for the other ladies. Right. At that time, misunderstood, misconstrued, whatever was missing at the time, it was still missing. And I don't want you to feel like it was a ploy to attack Quad. We all misunderstood each other.
Okay, Jackie. What I'm saying to you. It was never. Let me, Phaedra.
I will, baby. I will.
Let me do this.
Okay.
Because I'm tired of people trying to misconstrue my actions. It's not going to happen anymore.
I think we should move on. I really do. I really think we should let this go, because I think we're not going to get anywhere with this, right?
Yeah,
everybody's feeling how they feel. So we're going to let Phaedra move on, Quad. We're not going to go into this because we got a whole reunion. We ain't going to do all.
Do y'all think they should have let her continue?
Yeah, but what you want to say?
Well, no, what I'm saying is I'm getting a notice that I have to cut this live.
You know what
I wonder, was she getting that notice from production?
Saying is, it was never against you guys. And that's what I'm saying.
I get that. We received that.
We understand that. We believe it.
Well, we hope you guys enjoy the live tonight. I think
I feel bad in this moment because you can see Quad is clearly upset.
We had very interesting and intriguing conversation. We are all sisters at the end of the day. We are four powerful, beautiful Black women, courageous in everything we do. We sometimes don't read the room right. Sometimes we get it right. Sometimes we don't. But at the end of the day, we are Black women. We're going to stand together. We're going to make this thing work. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I appreciate you, ladies.
I love you.
I want you all to have a good time. I didn't want it to go too dark. I didn't want to get it, negative or whatever. Just have a good time.
Wow. I love you. I love you, Jackie. I love you, crazy ass Heavenly.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for taking me to the funeral home. And then I left there with some chicken and collard greens. It's a little piece of ham and
You could tell Dr. Dr. Jackie's looking at Quad like, ooh, like, okay, Dr. Jackie senses some emotion going on there, and I feel like she's concerned.
And some red velvet cake.
So did you treated us like some black folks? You did. We did a good job. Thank you for that. And we got to fighting in your funeral home, and I want to apologize to you for that.
I appreciate that because y'all didn't they didn't get to see everything, but it got quite heated. I was afraid at a few moments. I thought I was about to call him up security. But I love you ladies, and we're gonna make this work, okay?
All right,
okay,
y'all have a good night. Bye-bye.
Miss Quad, okay.
Okay, sweetheart.
Bye, Jackie.
Bye.
All right, so somebody in the comments said, I hate how Quad didn't get a chance to say her piece at the end, and you could tell she is extremely upset by what Jackie just did. It wasn't right at all, and Quad looked like she was mad and wanted to cry. Quad should have been allowed to speak. Love you, Miss Quad. Quad says, truth is, they want the truth to be silent, so my friends are just falling in line. So I'm like, who is the they who want the truth to be silent? Like, it's interesting. Do you think that this is a reference to maybe them trying to make her out to be a villain? Let me know in the chatterization down below. How do you feel about this dynamic? Let us know what you think, what your thoughts are. I'm interested. This Married to Medicine is given. It's given. It is giving. So I can't wait to read you guys' comments, and I will catch you in the next video.